6:35 and a half is our time here on the Morning Brew on this Tuesday, the 20th of April. We're keeping the spotlight on the business community and COVID-19 in this segment. The reality that the most recent lockdown that government has announced, the 3-week lockdown, is a major concern for members of the business community who already have been hard pressed over the past year that we've been living with the COVID-19 pandemic. But many of them are looking at opportunities and possibilities. They are trying to be optimistic in the midst of all of this. And that's where a special session that's going to be happening later on this evening with the Greater Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce comes into play. We will find out more about that right now from the president of the Greater Tunapuna Chamber, Melissa Senhouse. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Hi, good morning, Jessie-May, to you and your viewers, and thank you for having me this morning.
We're having a special session this afternoon. It's a two-part session. This is the first part that will be happening today, where you're going to be hearing from the members of parliament who fall within the Greater Tunapuna area in terms of their vision for economic development in their constituencies. That's it in essence, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct, Jessie-May. So what we are hoping is that our members of parliament will come and present on their plans for the businesses within our area. We have 4 members of parliament that will be joining us this evening, which will be the member of parliament for St. Augustine, Tunapuna, Lopino, Bonaire West, as well as Caroni East. And what we are hoping is that when they make their presentations about their plans for the businesses within the area, that we will be able to see the different opportunities and respond accordingly.
Let's talk about exactly the kinds of businesses that we find in the Greater Tunapuna area. Is it all mercantile? Is there industrial? Do we have agribusiness? What do the businesses that make up the chamber look like? We
primarily have the micro, small, and medium enterprises. We do have banks, insurance companies. Yes, we do have the retail businesses, the smaller ones, and we do have some manufacturing.
So it's a pretty diverse
yes,
area that we're looking at in terms of potential opportunities. Let's talk about how they've fared over the past year, though, because everyone is basically balling, as we say in local parlance right now.
Jessie-May, we are living in interesting times, and our membership is testimony to that. We have members on the 2 extreme ends of the spectrum, where you have some members that have closed their doors permanently on one end, and on the other end, you have members that have actually expanded their business and created new businesses. And in between, you have those businesses that have closed their physical location and have transitioned online, as well as businesses that had no other choice but to downsize and closed some of their locations within our boundaries.
And in terms of those who have closed their doors, is it going to be a permanent situation, or if things improve, can they reopen their doors once more? What are they telling you?
Well, that's actually a mix. You have some that have closed their doors permanently and they will not be reopening, and then you have some that have closed. They had no choice but to close their doors. So within the Greater Tunapuna Chamber, our catchment includes the airport. And in the airport, you have 200 plus concessionaires that have had no choice but to close their doors. So some of them are hopeful for the few flights that come in to capitalize on that business. But then you have others that had no choice but to close their doors. And by doing that, you still have rent to pay, because of course they were binded by a contract. Admittedly, the rent is significantly reduced, but if your revenue is 0, where are you going to find the money from to pay the reduced rent?
It's sounding very grim at this point in time, and I'm sure it's going to be an even grimmer picture once this 3-week lockdown period comes to an end, and there is the potential, given how we're seeing, the COVID infection spiking, that government may even consider extending it further. How many more businesses are going to be hanging by a thread should that happen?
Well, I remember in March 2020, when we initially locked down for 14 days, nowhere would anybody have thought that 13 months later our borders would still be closed and that we would be, in a semi-lockdown. And the businesses right now you have the bars, the restaurants, and the beach vendors that are immediately affected. But with that, you would have some form of unemployment taking place. And once you have unemployment taking place, you have reduced spending. And persons will now only seek to spend on essential items and not luxury items. So eventually you are going to impact all the other businesses. But what we have to take into consideration is that, yes, we could have all these, yes, we could have the lockdowns and whatnot, but persons need to take responsibility for their actions. We really do, because this is analogous to a group project whereby the actions of each individual impacts the grade that we get. Okay. So if we do not change our behavior and continue change our behavior and wear our mask, social distance, wash our hands without having somebody to police us, I think we will fail.
Yeah. As you make that point about, the safety protocols that they told us, as simple as they sound, they seem so hard to do. But in terms of your membership, how much of a challenge is it for them, or has it been for them to change the way that they do business and to implement these safety protocols to protect the customers who are still, supporting them, as well as their employees?
Our membership has managed to transition very seamlessly. Almost every business that you go in, you will see the signage saying no mask, no service. Everywhere would have the sanitization stations, whether it's the sanitizer or you wash your hands. But of course, it's up to persons to actually do that, because in some institutions you will go and they will pass the hand sanitizer straight. You even have some individuals that would open the tap, the faucet, and close it back without washing their hands. So it always boils back down to personal responsibility. And I understand that some individuals may feel the onset of the COVID-19 fatigue, and some persons are tired of COVID-19, but COVID-19 is not tired with us.
That's a powerful statement to make. COVID-19 is not tired of us at all. In fact, COVID-19 seems to be mutating to run through us like a dose of salts, as we say here in TNT. Melissa Senhouse, let's go back, though, to possible opportunities. Even though the landscape is looking a little bit bleak, what possible opportunities are your members seeing that they can explore in order to survive what's happening right now?
Mm-hmm. With Jessie-May, we've had some members that managed to pivot beautifully, where you had individuals that were in the entertainment industry, and because of the different vehicles that they have, they actually opened a courier service where they transport, and nothing is too big, nothing is too small, right? You had some persons that were able to say, I am in the food industry, yes, I do catering, but more persons are home and they are looking for easy to prepare meals. So therefore they have transitioned from catering to actually packaging food and selling it to the groceries. So that's just some examples of what some of our businesses have done. But we are seeing opportunities with the sanitary product manufacturing, of course, technology, because you have to have that online presence. So you will see the increase in persons looking for assistance in e-commerce and just general IT services to be able to enable remote work. As I mentioned, the courier and the pickup services, because of course you require more people to offer delivery, because most businesses, once you transition to online and you have your e-commerce, then of course you need to get the product to the customer. So that's where the delivery services and whatnot will come in. So there are a large number of opportunities.
Just as a matter of interest, how many of your members would have been able to transition into a hybrid operation where some of their staff was able to work from home and only the absolute essential would have had to come out in person to the actual physical workspace?
That's a very good question, Jessie-May. I don't have actual statistics to that, but we have spoken to a number of them that have successfully done that.
Okay. Going back now to the session that's happening later on this evening, it is Meet the MP series. Basically, there are 7 MPs that fall within the greater Tunapuna area, and yes, you'll be meeting 4 of them this afternoon. How can someone who's interested in this get involved in the session this afternoon?
Well, Jessie-May, the easiest way for them to they have to register in advance. They could WhatsApp their information or give us a call at 3224-GTC, which is 322-4482, or they could message us on Facebook. Our handle is the Greater Tunapuna Chamber, where they'll be able to register as well as submit their questions in advance. That's what we're asking the persons. Once they register, you submit the questions to allow the MPs to be able to answer them.
And if you want to get more information, check out the Greater Tunapuna Chamber on Facebook. Just do a search for the Greater Tunapuna Chamber on Facebook and get all the information that you need about joining the session this evening. Meeting our MPs, a call to action, embracing change, enhancing business. And the MPs will be presenting in terms of their vision for business development in their respective constituencies, falling within the Greater Tunapuna Chamber area. Today, the first installment of it, with 4 of the MPs out of the 7 represented. There will be a follow-up session with the remaining 3 MPs. Melissa Senhouse, President of the Greater Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce, we want to thank you for squeezing us in this morning, because I know you have a really hectic work day today, and all the best with the session this afternoon.
Thanks, Jessie-May, for having us.
All right, and just to let you know, the 4 MPs again who will be represented at the session starting at 6 this evening. MP for St. Augustine, Khadijah Amin, MP for Tunapuna, Esmond Ford, MP for Lopino, Bonaire West, Marvin Gonzalez, and MP for Caroni East, Dr. Richard Citeran. Those will be the 4 MPs in the session this afternoon with the Greater Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce, trying to find a light in the midst of all the darkness that is the COVID-19 pandemic, the businesses in the Greater Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce. All right, folks, we've got to take a very quick break, but we've got more news making to do before the show is over. We will be putting the spotlight again on COVID-19 from a broader perspective before the show is over this morning. So you don't want to miss that. We also have news at 7 from the Guardian Media Newsroom.